Now, I know it's been a couple of days since I'm putting content on this channel, but there has been some new developments since the last time we spoke, and we're going to speak on them because it actually has a lot to do with the trial coming up. And also, I'm going to touch on the DNA, who everybody keeps jerking off the fucking DNA people, whereas the DNA is not that reliable, and today I'm going to prove it to you. I'm thejbgunner. This is Crime Time. I hope you guys have all had a great week so far. Let's go ahead and get on into this. Let's do it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Bring it back.
All right, what's going on, everybody? As you guys know, I'm thejbgunner, and this is Crime Time. Now, before we get started, let me first and foremost say thank you to everybody that supports this channel or any of my other channels, regardless of the platform and regardless of the method you choose, whether it's Cash App, Patreon, Venmo, PayPal. Truth is, guys, I couldn't do this each and every day as often as I do if it wasn't for you guys, the Gun Squad. Appreciate you, love you so much, and if you too find my content valuable, feel free to hit the links down below. Join the Gun Squad today. Support the channel. While you're down there, do yourself a favor, man. If you're not a snowflake, a bitch, somebody that's real fucking weak in the knees and shit, go check out my other channels, my gaming channel, my politics channel, my live stream channel, which I go live each and every day. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. If you voted for Hillary, it's probably not for you. All right, you get the point. But let's go ahead and get on to this. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bryan Kohberger, Idaho 4 situation, and we're going to be jumping right into that here. But before we do, I got a special treat for you motherfuckers that came across my news desk. Oh, I want to hear who this rapper is.
Nothing to worry about.
Yo, I went from driving a Lexus doing time in Texas. My rhymes is reckless. I'm the Chef Boyardee of identity theft IDs. I'm klepto with that identity theft though. Yo, I'm the Nostradamus of commerce, the Bin Laden of Robin, the Mickey Mantle financials, the lawsuit Zeus. I'm J.R. Ewing of suing.
You know, every now and then I only got to say like one thing about a motherfucker. And that's it. That's all I need to say. That's all I needed to say. That's all I needed to show. Anyways, he does great work over there, doesn't he? Ain't that a bitch? All right, so enough of the wiggers and the rappers and the things like this. Let's go ahead and move on to the story. Bryan Kohberger. Judge bans news crews and photographers from Idaho murder trial. Now, when I first heard this, I was like, all right, cool. But then, everybody kind of got what they wanted, right? And I'm going to explain to you more. Case will be live streamed, which that's something I didn't think was going to happen. That means we will be able to cover this case live on this channel every day as it's happening. Case will be live streamed with court equipment to stop the press from zooming in on Kohberger's dick, on his face, and focusing intensely on his every move. So the defense got what they wanted. You ain't got the media in there controlling the narrative and all that. And us nosy motherfuckers, which is mainly just you, because I'll just pick up the PlayStation and play and say, fuck Kohberger. You guys want to watch the trial. So to be able to watch it live, to see it live streamed and not have to wait until the court day is over, then get the footage from court TV. You see what I'm saying? It's actually a good thing for all of us when it comes to this. Date has still not been set for quadruple murder trial for Kohberger. He asked the judge to ban news cameras to help him have a fair trial, which you guys know if you listen to me, I definitely believe that he should be offered the opportunity at a fair trial. And I do believe all you nosy motherfuckers all in the room judging his bulge and shit. It's a little much, right? John Judge agreed, but he will live stream the proceedings using court equipment. Now that is perfect. We get to see it as it happens. I don't think that's going to remain. I'm going to be honest. I don't think this trial is going to be live streamed. Judge right now is saying that it is, though. So, hey, who am I? News crews and press photographer will not be allowed inside Bryan Kohberger's trial, which will now be live streamed. So press photographers or news crews will not even be allowed inside the trial, which will now be live streamed with court equipment to stop journalists from zooming in on Kohberger's dick. The judge made the decision today, and this was a couple days ago, in a victory for Kohberger, who had appealed to him to ban cameras from the courtroom. In his decision, John Judge criticized the way in which journalists continue to cover the case. Kohberger is accused of murdering four Idaho students in the early hours of... Nobody gives a fuck. We know. It continues to be one of the most talked about and followed murders in recent history, with ferocious interest in Kohberger and the defense. Yeah. The judge had ordered the media to only take photos or videos of on-the-record proceedings, but many have continued to photograph Kohberger on his way in and out of the courtroom. So that's where they fucked up. The judge made it clear, do not record Kohberger when he's coming in or going out of the courtroom, because that's where they're getting the images of his dick. You know what I'm saying. Media cameras, both still and video, have and continue to zoom in on Kohberger's dick, despite the court's order that images should capture the courtroom in its entirety. They didn't listen. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. At least some of the images are of Kohberger entering and exiting the courtroom. It is the intense focus on Kohberger and his every move, along with adverse headlines and news articles, that leads the court to conclude that continued photograph and video coverage inside the courtroom by the fake-ass mainstream media should no longer be permitted. I'd rather them let JLR do it. I mean, shit. Wow, I've never seen JLR with a girlfriend, so he might be zooming in on Kohberger's dick, too. All right, this step should help ensure Kohberger's right to a fair trial by an impartial jury. That's not really what this is going to do. And achieve a proper administration of justice, judge said in the decision. Whatever. Yeah, I'm not... by the way, look at this. Police and prosecutors say Kohberger is tied directly to the crime scene with DNA left there that is a 99.99% match to his own. Guys, I'm going to be giving you guys a bonus video today, because today I'm going to break down that DNA shit. So you will get a second video today for once. I don't typically give you motherfuckers two videos. His attorney intended to question how the genetic genealogist traced it to him. And we're going to talk about that so much in the next video because, guys, I'm going to show you a story and an example of how touch DNA can fuck you all up. You understand, you can get touch DNA. You can transfer your trace DNA from shaking a motherfucker's hand, right? And then that person can go literally pick up this controller and transfer your DNA to this, and then someone else could come pick up this controller and your DNA go on that motherfucker's hand. Do you see the point? Do you see the problem with the DNA? We'll talk about that because we're going to talk about a specific case by the name of Lucas Anderson. We'll be talking about the Lucas Anderson case and that type of DNA and kind of what I can find about that DNA. The prosecution is yet to put forward a motive for the quadruple murder, nor will they. One of the most violent in memory, and it remains unclear if Kohberger has ever met any of the victims. It's not unclear. It was said in court papers that he has no connection to any of them broads. So the trial date has still not been set. And so we have that info. So what we do have here, I don't know, there's 9 pages of this. This is the order denying second motion to intervene and granting defendant's motion to remove media cameras from the courtroom. So let's take a quick look at this just real quick. I don't think I have to make it any bigger, do I? Yeah, we'll just do it that way. It says, this order addresses the motion to remove cameras from the courtroom filed by defendant Bryan Kohberger. I wonder why they got his name like that in parentheses. On August 24th, 2023. On September 6th, the state responded to Kohberger's motion requesting that the court prohibit cameras in the courtroom, both still and video, and at a minimum during trial and during any of the court proceedings at which victims might be called to testify. Both of these people agreed, the prosecution and the defense. On August 30th, a coalition of 14 media outfits that will be collectively referred to as the Associated Press filed a second motion to intervene in the case. Well, those motions to intervene in the case, they've been rejected by the judge. On September 8th, 2023, the Associated Press filed an opposition to motion to remove cameras, which we pretty much already know all this, right? For reasons stated below, The court grants Kohberger's motion to remove cameras from courtroom as it pertains to cameras both still and video operated by the media. However, the court will still continue to allow proceedings to be videoed by a court-operated camera system. This will help to alleviate the concerns raised by both the defense and the state, but at the same time will ensure the public still has access to see the proceedings for themselves if it cannot attend the hearing in person. So it gives a little base background of the whole thing. Given the high-profile nature of the case and concerns surrounding Kohberger's fundamental right to a fair trial by impartial jury, the parties stipulated to entry of a non-dissemination order. On May 1st, a coalition of 20... Basically, you guys know what all has been going on here. The media has been trying to fight with them to keep it out. Basically, that's what this is. And so ultimately, they're saying there will be cameras, it will be live stream, but it won't be the media controlling. And this was November 17th at 5 p.m., just the other day. And guys, we also had another motion here that we needed to take a look at, another filing, and it's the state's response to the defendant's 10th supplemental request for discovery. What it seems here is that they've given him the discovery. Check this out. It says, comes now the state of Idaho, by and through Latah County prosecuting attorney, and submits the attached Exhibit 1. For some reason, this Exhibit 1 has been the main exhibit that's been going back and forth. That's been the exhibit that Kohberger wants to see. In response to the defendant's 10th supplemental request for discovery, filed November 8th. And then what it's going to do is it's going to show all of them requests for discovery. I can't even believe it took that much time, right? But apparently they have responded and they have attached Exhibit 1. So if Exhibit 1, and I keep seeing Exhibit 1 in every single one of these motions, so I'm thinking to myself, well, shit, chances are this has to be what they want. I'm really curious to see what that Exhibit 1 is. And every single time we've seen it countered, basically the people have said, hey, that it could put a witness in jeopardy. So I bet you Exhibit 1 is the exculpatory evidence because they keep going. I'm very curious. I bet it's something that will potentially lead to Kohberger's dismissal. I don't know that for sure. I'm just throwing that out there because you got to ask yourself, why has the state been so against giving that to Kohberger? Is it have something to do with the DNA? You know what? Let's just do the DNA portion here. Why not? There's no reason to stop this video and then come back. There's just not. But so we're gonna go here. Let me just pause this for a second. In fact, no, let's just stop this and we'll do another video. So basically, no, we're gonna do it in this one. All fucked up, ain't I? Anyway, just to summarize what we've already went through, the 10th request for discovery seems to have been given to him. So that's a win for Kohberger. And then Kohberger gets, we get a win for us because we get to watch the thing streamed, which means I get to stream it here with you guys online. Unless you're at some other jackass's live streaming and I can't help you. It is what it is. Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? But I will be here every single day live streaming that trial. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Because I do want to talk to you guys about DNA, all right? We're going to go ahead and get into DNA. So you guys are getting two videos in one here. Now, I was actually watching something I believe by Law and Order's YouTube channel or something like that. And there was a woman lawyer who I've heard and I've seen before, but she was saying how weak the evidence really is. The DNA evidence, the phone evidence, and you guys know that's my position on the whole fucking thing. And she mentioned a name. And I want to kind of bring this to your attention today. So hopefully this will do. Okay, first we're going to talk about touch DNA in general. We're going to look at trace DNA. Dangerous evidence can lead to wrongful convictions. To see how dangerous reliance on trace DNA evidence can be, you only have to look at the Silicon Valley case from 2012. A homeless man was facing a potential death sentence after trace DNA placed him at the scene of a brutal murder inside of a millionaire's home. The only thing that saved him was the fact that he'd been under constant supervision in a hospital some miles away at the time of the murder. Investigators discovered that the paramedics who responded to the murder scene were the same ones that had transported the homeless man to the hospital earlier, and they carried his DNA with them on their clothing or equipment later. So let me ask you a question. So the medics took him to the hospital. Remember what I said about touch DNA? So the DNA gets on the medic, okay? Then the medic goes to where the dude was murdered and then transfers that DNA there. Okay, question. Is it possible at all that Bryan Kohberger at any point in time had been in that house and touched Maddie Mogen at any point in time, or shook the hand? This is why you cannot convict Bryan Kohberger at all. Because what if that DNA got on the clasp of the knife sheath just because he shook someone's hand earlier in the night? And then that person transferred the DNA over to, and for that reason, you have to dismiss the case. Period. I would rather send 100 murderers free than put one innocent man to death. That's the truth. They carried his DNA with him on their clothing or equipment later. So they transferred the fucking equipment to the DNA to the murder scene. The incident illustrates one of the primary concerns with trace DNA evidence, which is potential for contamination and transfer. Due to its small quantity, trace DNA is incredibly susceptible to contamination from external sources. Now remember, they sent the DNA. Codex couldn't find nothing. They had to send it to a whole other lab in Texas to find any information on Bryan Kohberger or on that fucking knife sheath. Think about the different exchanges, the changes of possession, the chains of possession. Think about how fragile touch DNA is. Due to its small quantity, trace DNA is incredibly susceptible to contamination. Even a momentary touch or indirect contact with an item can transfer DNA. Contamination can occur during crime scene collection, evidence processing, or even in the laboratory. Well, say that again, JB. Even in the laboratory, you know, the third one that they used. They found nothing in the first laboratory. They found nothing in the second laboratory. So they sent it to a third one in Texas. Contamination can occur during crimes. Okay, modern DNA testing techniques have become increasingly sensitive, capable of detecting DNA at extremely low levels. While this sensitivity is advantageous in some cases, it also raises concerns. The more sensitive the analysis, the higher the likelihood of detecting DNA from sources unrelated to the crime. Remember, there was 3 dudes' DNA and a glove. The presence of an innocent person's DNA at a crime scene does not necessarily mean they were involved in the offense, but it can significantly impact perceptions and interpretations. And that right there, my friends, is exactly why you have to dismiss the case against Bryan Kohberger. The DNA test is not legit. It's not legit. No, the chain of possession, I don't give a fuck if he matches it 100% now. The point of this is there's still an order to things, the way things got to be done. While DNA can create a perception of guilt, especially when presented as conclusive evidence without considering alternative explanations, seeking experienced legal guidance can help you understand the avenues. Of course, it's a lawyer. In December 2012, a homeless man named Lucas, and you know what? Let's just do it this way.
Forensic scientists has helped law enforcement solve many crimes which otherwise would have remained a mystery. But as technology advances for collecting DNA samples at crime scene, so does the possibility of error. Experts in the field say that your DNA can be collected from a crime scene you've never even been at.
That's right.
In the case of Lucas Anderson, it led to murder charges. Joining me to talk about this is RT correspondent Brigida Santos. Brigida, let's talk about the case of Lucas Anderson. How did his own DNA frame him for murder?
In 2012, a homeless alcoholic man named Lucas Anderson was charged with first-degree murder when his DNA was found on the body of a murder victim who had been killed in a home invasion.
Why the hell you gotta call him a alcoholic? You could have just said homeless man. Why'd you? She's like, yeah, but he also drank a lot. That's none of our goddamn business. Stop it.
Now, his DNA was specifically on the murder victim's fingernails. And the way that they got there was through a process called secondary transfer. All that means is that as humans, we leave our cells everywhere we go. In
Everywhere.
fact, we shed about 50 million skin cells per day.
50 million skin cells. It says we literally leave them every fucking where we go. And if you look at that crime scene, 3 different men and a mystery glove were found at that crime scene. 3 different men. So they used this touch DNA. And look, man, if you ask me, it is Bryan Kohberger's DNA on the thing. But the question is how did it get there? The Marshall Project, they've been doing shit with it when it comes to this DNA. And we'll get back to Lucas Anderson in a minute. But you literally put it on anything. Although the volunteers never touched each other, 1/3 wound up. Well, check out this study. Check out this study. Check this out right here. Let's do it. In one of the Van Orscher's experiments, for instance, volunteers sat at a table and shared a jug of juice. After 20 minutes of chatting and sipping, swabs were deployed on their hands, the chairs, the table, the jug, and the juice glasses, then tested for genetic material. The jug was touched by each of the participants at least once, and each of their DNA was found on the handle in almost every case. Although the volunteers had never touched each other, 1/3 of the volunteers wound up with another's DNA on their palm. So me and you sitting here just having a glass of orange juice and shit. I didn't touch you at all, and all of a sudden you have my DNA on your palm. 1/3 of the glasses bore DNA of volunteers who did not touch or drink from them. So 33% of the glasses had DNA of people that never touched them. 40% of the table. Hands, 33%. Then there was the foreign DNA, profiles that didn't match any of the motherfuckers. It turned up on about half of the chairs. Look at all this. The glasses all over the participants' hands and table. Look at this shit. Do you see what this is? Do you see what this is saying? 57% of the chairs had foreign DNA from motherfuckers that weren't even there. The table, what's that shit say? 97%. Look at these numbers, man. People that weren't even there. His DNA was on the glass, the hands, the table. The participants unwillingly brought them alien genes, perhaps from the lover they kissed that morning, the stranger with whom they shared a bus script, or the barista who handed them their afternoon latte. If the glove does not fit, you have to acquit. It's that goddamn simple.
And those cells, our DNA, can then get picked up and moved around.
It's that goddamn simple.
So that's all that means. It turns out that on the night of this murder, Lucas Anderson had been passed out drunk in a hospital. Now, he could not remember where he was that night, so police, when they asked him about his whereabouts, he said he had no recollection. He also had a previous history and one conviction for a home invasion, and that's how this man was murdered. So It did not look good for him, but his lawyer did retrace his steps.
And here's the thing, all you true crimers, if you guys were watching this Lucas Anderson case in 2012, you would have said that Lucas Anderson was guilty. He has a history of home invasions. He was drunk. He doesn't remember where he was, and his DNA was at the fucking crime scene. All the little JLRs, all the motherfuckers that are just dick riding the police all goddamn day, you would swear up and down Lucas Anderson was guilty. You would swear up and down. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, I guess if, whatever. Hold on.
She was able to find out that he was actually innocent of this crime and that he had never met the murder victim or even ever been to the crime scene.
Ever.
So, Brigitte, what led investigators to question the DNA evidence that implicated Anderson in that crime? What was it about?
Anderson's public defender, as she was building his defense, came across some files, including his medical records. And they proved that on that night when the murder was taking place, he was in the hospital. Now, experts believe that his DNA, Anderson's DNA, made its way onto the victim's fingernails through some of the paramedics' equipment.
That's crazy.
Most likely through a finger oxygen reader that they had used on Anderson and then later on used on the victim.
It was an Australian forensic scientist who first revealed that DNA could be collected from fingerprints. But he also cautioned everybody that you could collect DNA from items a person never touched.
Right.
Who was this scientist?
Items a person never touched. Like a knife sheath? Release that man.
Scientist, and how did he prove that? What's the significance of that?
The forensic scientist's name is Roland Van Oorschot, and he discovered this process of secondary transfer back in 1997.
Yep, that's what we was looking at right here, I believe. Where was it? This right here. This is the Oorschot study. This is what we were doing right here. Right here. Let me pull this back up. Sorry about that.
After conducting a series of experiments. Now, in the experiment, he placed a jug of juice on a table. It had been sterilized previously, and he had a group of participants sitting around a table, each with their own glass to put the juice in, and all of those glasses were sterilized ahead of time. And what he found after swabbing everybody's glasses and the jug and their hands was that 1/3 of participants had the DNA of other participants on their hands.
That's right.
Now, none of these people touched each other during the experiment or previous to the experiment. And he also found that 1/3 of the juice glasses had the DNA of participants who had never touched some of the glasses. So everyone had their own glass, and people's DNA were showing up on each other's glasses, even though they had never touched each other's glasses.
Release that man.
They also found foreign DNA on glasses, on the chairs, on the table, from people who had nothing to do with the experiment. And because they had set the controls and sterilized everything beforehand,
no way it
they
could have been
realized
there.
that DNA had been brought into the experiment by those participants through secondary transfer.
Bam!
One of the concerns that come up with this topic is the Rapid DNA Act of 2017. What does this law do, and why is it concerning in so many levels?
The Rapid DNA Act allows law enforcement departments to now use rapid DNA testing technology, which will allow them to find a match if somebody's already in the system in about 90 minutes. Now, this is a process that normally used to take days.
Well, and it still did because Bryan Kohberger wasn't in the goddamn system.
So this can speed it up.
Look, man. If this right here doesn't prove to you that touch DNA, that trace DNA is garbage, then nothing will. If I loaned you this lighter and you used it, chances are my DNA is going to be on you and everything else you touch the rest of the fucking day. That's why I don't like these damn whores. Do you know that women, you keep the DNA of every dude that you let bust in you for up to 80 years? You think I'm joking? I can Google it right now. I'll Google this shit right now. Let's finish this.
It up very, very quickly. Privacy advocates worry that this is going to increase invasive biometric collection with things like stop and spit policing, where cops ask anybody they pull over to give them a sample of their DNA through their saliva. And this is something that has already been happening in places like Florida and in Connecticut, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. And because DNA is not infallible, as we have seen with this Anderson case, privacy advocates worry.
And by the way, you can find this anywhere. Hutchinson, there's male DNA. Our nut goes straight to their brains. That's why that's why these bitches are so damn nutty. Our nut goes straight to your brains and stays there. Remember that, dudes? Every single time you kiss a broad, every single time you do any of that, just remember, every dick that has ever exploded in their goofy little bodies, or fat bodies, depends on who you're talking about, is just stored there. Stored there.
That it's going to cause a lot more people to be implicated in crimes that they may not have had anything to do with.
Exactly.
The case of David Butler is another example of how DNA is believed to have convicted an innocent man of murder. Could you talk about that case just a little bit?
Back in 2011, David Butler, a cab driver, was charged with murder because his DNA was found on the victim's body, a woman. Now, he had a skin condition that caused him to shed excessively. And in fact, in the community where he drove those cabs, other cab drivers gave him the nickname Flaky because his skin was always flaking off. Now, he says that he had never met the victim, and his lawyer argued that it was very possible that he may have actually given a ride in his cab to the actual murderer, and that's how his DNA could have ended up on the victim's body.
Very, very
now,
possible.
In this case, it was enough to get his sentence thrown out, so he was able to go free.
Yes.
And that is also what happened in the case of Lucas Anderson.
Yes.
When their lawyers brought
That's two cases.
up the issue of secondary transfer.
Scientists say that transferring of DNA is a phenomenon that has not been properly studied. And as far as you can tell, is law enforcement aware of this? And what are the investigators in Anderson's case saying after their experience?
It's unclear whether law enforcement agencies are aware of the issue of secondary transfer. I do know that in the United States, there are very few labs that actually study the phenomenon of secondary transfer, but it is indeed a very real process, and it's something that's only now starting to be acknowledged. And it is the backbone, DNA. DNA is the backbone of so many convictions, and it's very likely that other innocent people have been convicted for crimes.
Exactly. Very likely other innocent people have been convicted.
That they didn't commit, but it can also now be used as a defense by guilty people who may have committed crimes. If their DNA does get onto the body of someone, they can now say...
Well, if it's trace DNA, touch DNA.
That it was secondary transfer. So while it might clear up cases for some people, it could actually complicate others.
That's fine. I would rather, like I said earlier, I would rather let 100 guilty people out than send one innocent person to the death penalty or to prison. Guys, this has been a long video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you like what I do here, make sure you hit the links down below. Support the channel. I was going to break this up into 2 videos, but why not just give it to you? In fact, I'm just going to give it to you right now. It's like 2:30 in the morning. So I'm going to go ahead and give this to you guys right now. Hope you guys are all doing it. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know about what you think about the live streaming of the trial. That's going to be fun. We're going to be doing that here live on the channel. I'm sure there'll be all the other YouTubers doing it too, so I'm just going to have to be drunker and more fun. So fuck it. It is what it is. But then also, let me know what you think about the DNA. I think at this point in time, if the DNA is all they got, they have no case. What say you? Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit thumbs up, share, subscribe. I'm going to go ahead and post this for you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful day today. Peace out.